First and foremost, I want to start this video by saying this is my opinion. So if I don't include or put all these games in your favorite order, I am sorry, I apologize, but that is going to be it. I am going to be doing this list from worst to best, and I'm going to be excluding every game that I haven't played. So this is going to be all the Telltale games ranked that I have played. So if a certain game is not on the list, I haven't played it, sorry, either haven't gotten to it yet or I had no interest in playing it. So that's kind of where we're at. Doing this video because I kind of felt like it. This is going to be like a less scripted one. I'm just going to be more talking off the cuff, just because I basically know what I want to say about these games. In the last place, Guardians of the Galaxy. What the hell is this game? So I'm a big story guy. I have always loved narrative games. Like, I will usually enjoy it if it has a good story and if the gameplay isn't great. That's why I've been a big fan of Telltale since the first Walking Dead game. Like season 1 of The Walking Dead, I've been a big fan. Everyone around me was like, it's not really a video game. And I've been like, I don't care. I like narrative games, and I've always been a big narrative guy. I don't really play multiplayer games at all. So I love Telltale games. That being said, Guardians of the Galaxy fucking sucks. Like, really bad. It basically felt way too try-hardy, and everything it was doing just fell flat for me, and I did not enjoy it, like, at all. It was the first one I didn't finish because of how boring I thought it was. It was legitimately boring. It was the worst thing something can be, which is boring. And I was so fucking bored. Holy shit. Oh, man. And, like, the soundtrack was fine. I don't know, just, like, comparing basically the new Guardians of the Galaxy game and any of the James Gunn movies, and it is just awful, and I just had zero fun with it at all. Next is the Game of Thrones series. Now, I still am a really big fan of Game of Thrones. I still love the show, even though the ending wasn't the best and there was a noticeable dip in quality. I thoroughly enjoy all the books, and I love House of the Dragon. That being said, this game came out during around peak Game of Thrones time. I think it was around season 4 or season 5 is when it came out, and I honestly at the time really liked it. I am kind of mad that they didn't do anything with it, and it kind of felt like it didn't go anywhere. But like the first few episodes, I really liked. I liked being in the world. I liked interacting with these show characters because they did it like in a way that felt like it could be happening. Like there was a suspension of disbelief, but for the most part, it felt like it was something that could happen in between the scenes of the show. It felt like the world, and it felt like you were in Game of Thrones, and like for that reason I actually really enjoyed it. It was very nihilistic, as in every single choice you made literally had a negative outcome, so there was no right thing to do. But that's kind of like the whole thing about Game of Thrones, is that there is no right thing to do. So I think it actually got the tone pretty good. The only time I would like dock anything is like the last episode did not. It really didn't hit for me. But honestly, I really enjoyed all of it, and if it was just more consistent, then it would be a lot higher. Next is the first Batman. I'm not gonna lie, when this was first announced, I thought it was kind of a weird choice, but I've been a lifelong Batman fan, so who am I to judge? I really enjoyed the tone. They really flip-flop between being Batman and Bruce, and I thought they handled that aspect of it very nicely. The only thing I didn't like was essentially, I didn't think that the choices you made really worked for Batman, and for at least like with the story they were going for, I think it would have worked better as a like less choice heavy experience, at least for that early section of it. Season 2 is different, but for season 1, I think you having as much choice as you did in your interactions with people, honestly, I think hurt the story, especially because of how foundational everything was during that time. Foundational as in Bruce Wayne was still getting used to being Batman and still getting used to juggling both at the same time. And because of the choices that you had, I think it undermined the foundation a bit. And don't get me wrong, I loved the twist of his parents being like crime family. I thought that was amazing, and I thought that the villain wasn't bad, but for the most part I didn't love that the choices affected the foundation of this character. I mean, I loved everything else about it. I think they nailed the vibe of Batman, and I thought that it was a very nice piece of Batman lore, and I loved the tease of the Joker. There's a lot of things that they do right. This was like a very much, it felt like a test run for season 2, which really knocked it out of the park. But next is The Walking Dead season 3. Not gonna lie, I binged the hell out of this one that came out, and I thought it was very engaging for the first 3 episodes, and then it kind of falls off. So the first 3 episodes, it starts off with a new character, and he has a very engaging story, and he's put in a very interesting situation, and then it kind of starts to like fall flat a little bit towards the middle. I don't think it necessarily sticks the landing, especially on the last 2 episodes. Everything up until episode 3 is fantastic, and it's really engaging, and using Clementine as a side character just to kind of like show how much she's grown was a very good touch, especially setting up for season 4, which I have not played yet. But I do think that from what I've seen of season 4, that having her as a side character was a very nice idea, and it was a very good touch. But I will say that it did not stick the landing on the last 2 episodes. But episode 1 through 3 were literally fantastic. Like, episode 1 through 3 were about peak Walking Dead, at least for the Telltale series. All right. Now, keeping on the Walking Dead train, we have Walking Dead Season 2, Season Dos. And the reason Season 2 is above Season 3 is mainly just because it was more consistent across the board. And the only time it ever really dipped in quality was like the very last bit of the last episode, which is kind of forced a confrontation just to have like this big shock moment. But for the most part, it was very consistent in terms of what they were doing and going for. Having Kenny return was literally amazing. Carver was a fantastic villain. And honestly, they were going for a slow burn, which the first Walking Dead was that way too. But season 2 is just very consistent. It's very slow. It's a very different type of story because you're essentially playing as a little girl, so you're basically a lot less capable than a lot of the other entries in this list. But it still manages to tell a very human story, and it very much fits the tone of the first game, or the first season, I should say, even though the first season is remarkably better. And that's mostly just because the characters in the first season just, you can't beat them, I'm gonna say. Alright, and now we have Batman Season 2. And I really just have to say that they knocked the Joker out of the park. And because they did that so well, I will always remember the Joker from the Batman Telltale series. And that is a hard thing to do because there's so many Joker entries. I thought that this is where like you having a direct impact on like how the Joker forms is honestly the perfect scenario for a Telltale game. And honestly, in terms of consistency and everything I said about The Walking Dead Season 2, Batman has. I did not enjoy the Bruce Wayne sections as much as I did in Season 1, but I will say all of the Joker scenes more than make up for it. And the way they handled the Joker alone is why this one's so high on the list, because hot damn. Alright, so now we get into my favorites of all time territory. First one being The Wolf Among Us. This game came out after The Walking Dead Season 1, and this game solidified Telltale as a studio for me. I looked forward to every single episode as it came out. I thought it was just incredibly done. I loved Big B. I loved his character. I recently replayed it, and it holds up fairly well. It doesn't hold up as well as I remember it, and that's why it's a little lower, but that was one of my favorite games for a long time. The writing is fantastic, the world is great, the music and the feels and the vibe and the art style, it all just comes together in such a natural way. The choices are a little and it is a little inconsistent, but for the most part, this game hits hard, and it's just a vibe, honestly. And if you haven't played The Wolf Among Us, I wholeheartedly recommend go play it. The second season is coming out soon. It's a great detective story, and it's just overall just fantastic. Okay, and next we have the game that started the whole Telltale train. I know it's not the first game, but this is the game that ushered in a new era of Telltale games, that being The Walking Dead Season 1. And this game is just so perfect. It's so good. It's what put Telltale on the map and the story of Lee Everett and Clementine will forever be etched in gaming history. And it's just, I don't know what else to say about it. It's all the good parts from every other game I mentioned up until this point and none of the bad. Like, it's a slow burn, it's a character piece. Like, every single character is memorable, all the conflict feels real, and it's honestly the game that I use to get people into video games. If people aren't big gamers, this is the game I show them and I say, hey, let's play something, and then we play this. It's honestly that good. It is one of the quintessential video games, and I think it should go down in the history books as such. But that being said, there is a game that is better in Telltale's catalog, and that is Tales from the Borderlands. Now, while it doesn't have as much of a legacy as The Walking Dead Season 1 does, it essentially has all of the good things that I've mentioned up until this point, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with this game. It takes everything good about the other games and improves upon them. It has great writing, characters, story, soundtrack, vibes, and just moments. It essentially is like the quality of story of all the other Telltale games combined and multiplied. It is so well written, so well executed. It masters the Borderlands vibe, and it's such a great story to continue on. And I mean, I wish they did a better job when they made the sequel, but you know, that's neither here nor there. But anyway, go play Tales of the Borderlands, go play Walking Dead Season 1, and go play Wolf Among Us. And if you're a Batman fan, go check those out too. But anyway, this is Cinemalik. I'm gonna log off here. Thank you for checking out my ranking of all the Telltale games, and I will see you guys on the next video. Peace.